and welcome to our day of celebration. Today we are celebrating Stop Food Waste Day. Stop Food Waste Day. That is what we are celebrating today. Stop Food Waste Day. It has been estimated that 33% of the food that is produced globally are either lost or wasted. Imagine 33% of the food that are produced globally are either lost or wasted. And then the question is, what is responsible for the waste? Why wasting food? This celebration calls for responsibility. We should be responsible human beings. As responsible human beings, we are expected to avoid all forms of wastage. It takes a lot of maturity to preserve and to secure food and other things. The reason why God created us and put us in the Garden of Eden, put man in the Garden of Eden, was for them to cultivate, to preserve. Instead of wasting food, God gave man the mandate to multiply, increase and multiply. That is our mandate. That is what we are expected to do. We are not to waste what God has created. And the food is an essential commodity. You know, we cannot survive without food. It is a basic need. There is no human being on earth that does not eat food. We rely on food. So before we continue, I would like to announce this year's theme. The theme of this year's Stop Food Waste Day is reducing food loss and waste throughout the supply chain. Reducing food loss and waste throughout the supply chain. That is the theme of this year's Stop Food Waste Day. Reducing food loss and waste. We cannot stop it completely. There is no way we can stop food waste and food loss completely, but we have to reduce it. We have to try our best to reduce the loss of food and the wastage of food. And one of the greatest problems we are having today is waste management. You see waste product littered everywhere. Waste management. I know in developed countries, they know how to, handle their waste through recycling. Most of the waste products over there, they recycle them and they produce something good. But where we have major problem is here in Africa and many other developing countries. We don't have the machine, the equipment to preserve our food. We don't have the machine and the equipment to recycle our waste products. And that is a major problem we are having. The number of food we waste every year. Oh my God. You are talking of 33% globally. Coming to Nigeria or Africa, I can say we waste more than 60% of the food we produce, especially fruits. Now, this is fruit season. Mango is my favorite fruit. When you go to market, you will shed tears. Mango, oranges, you will see where all these perishable goods, you will see where they are wasted. Unfortunately, there is no market for all these fruits. You know, they consume them locally. But imagine a place where you have leaders, visionary leaders. These fruits would have established like places like Edo State that have fertile ground, and they produce a lot of fruits. They produce pawpaw, pineapple, what have you. You know, and most of these things, you see them carrying them in a truck to the north, transporting them to the north. The distance between Edo State and the north, you can imagine, coupled with bad road. And at times, because of bad road, before they will even get to the north, because they are perishable goods, most of those things are rotten. They are not as fresh as when they are produced. Imagine a situation where we have visionary leaders from this part of the world. They will set up factory, Jewish factory. These people don't have to be taking their fruits, transporting their fruit outside Edo State. Fruit factory, pineapple, fruit juice, you know, they can be processed here. And in the process, you create job, you save food wastage, you avoid wastage of food. And then you also create market for these farmers who are producing these fruits. I think that is what we need. All we need when we talk about stopping food wastage. I know things like refrigerator, ordinary refrigerator, freezer. Most people don't even have refrigerators. They cook and consume. And you see, because there is no refrigerator to preserve the food, 2 or 3 days, the whole thing will sour. And they will get rid of it. Is it not wastage of food? So, the major means of preserving food, I believe it is freezer. Even if you have freezer, you may have freezer, but the power supply may not be there. The power supply, no light to power your freezer. Freezer doesn't work manually. Okay? So we have a lot of challenges in this part of the world. The bottom line of it all is, one, if we must say no to food wastage, there must be regular power supply. I repeat, regular power supply, to empower our refrigerators, to empower our freezers. But even at that, before we get to that stage, before we even get to that stage, do we even have warehouse where farmers can store their goods? Let's get behind a bit. Go to farm. Most of the farm land, they are quite a distance from the town. People have to travel far inside the bush to make their farms. And the road, you need access road to the farm. Most of the goods, fruits people produce, they got rotten, spoiled in the farm. Because one, there is no good road. There is no access road that can take people to the farmland. How many fruits or food you see women carrying things on their head? Who does that? After farming, after laboring, getting tired, you will still see them carrying their food on their head. And they have to trek a long distance with all these goods on their head. So, if we must secure our food, and if we must say no to food wastage, I think the farmland, has to be the road leading to the farm. The government has to maintain it and then provide transportation for farmers. That is where we are getting it wrong. Farmers, by now, we should be thinking of mechanized farming. And even if you don't provide enough transportation, how many transportation will you even provide? How many roads are you going to farm road? How many of them will you do? But what I discovered when I traveled to Israel, what I discovered, in their farmland, that is where they have most of this factory. This factory that produces fruits, produces whatever it is. So they will settle where they have the farmland, like a place like this. This is a palm farm, for instance. What we have here is, you see, we have farm. So a place like this, we need milling, farm, oil mill, okay? So you don't need to harvest the palm and then you start looking for transportation to take it where you can mill it. So I'm using this as an example. Where you have enough palm trees like this, you have to establish farm milling, okay? So that as they are bringing it out, as they are harvesting it, you don't need to stress yourself transporting it, looking for where to take it to for processing. So you simply, produce it, process it, recycle it. And this palm oil you are seeing here, this is another something that is very, very productive, but we record a lot of wastage because we discovered that these palm trees, there is no part of it that is useful. There is no part of this palm tree that is useful. The leaves, you can use it to produce broom. The wood, the stem, we use it for making basket. This is what we use for making all these baskets. You see them where tomato, they put tomato and other things, local basket. We use the stick to produce basket. So the leaf itself, goat, you can use it to feed your animal. And then before you now talk about the fruit, the seed, palm seed, you can produce your palm oil comfortably. And that is where people focus. The palm oil, the red palm oil, that one everybody knows. But even at that, there are places you will go, you will see the palm kernel. They will throw them away, or they will use it to, fill erosion where you have. But that palm kernel is another important for those who are into, industry. So many industries, they use those oil from palm kernel. They use that oil from palm kernel. So the palm tree itself, you can as well. Some people will cut it, not knowing. They use it to produce palm oil, palm wine, natural wine, palm wine. So, depending on those who know how to process it, all this I'm telling you now, unless you don't know, like it is here now, because of so those who produces palm wine, when they come here, they are not interested in the oil. They focus on that palm oil, palm wine, and they may render the palm useless when they start producing the palm wine. So though they may not even consider the oil. But as those so it depends on what you are looking from the palm. Whatever it is you are looking from the palm, you can get it, because the palm is a very rich. So, but you discover that most of the time when you now get your palm oil, you waste other things that would have come out of the palm tree. You get your palm oil, you waste the palm wine. You get your palm wine, you waste the palm oil. So that is wastage. Is there any way we can stop this wastage? Is there any way we can reduce wastage? Okay, now, the next thing I want to talk about, my dear friends in Christ, when we talk about food wastage, I think the greatest wastage is stinginess. Okay, this greatest art of food wastage is stinginess. Because if you believe in sharing, those who believe in sharing, they hardly waste food. Okay, go to rich man's house, you discover a lot of wastage. The number of food they waste. Poor people hardly waste food. They don't even have enough to eat. Not to talk of the one they will waste. So those who are talking about food wastage, if it is a crime, the rich are the ones that commit it, because they waste a lot of food. They can't eat. And I thank God the way God created we human beings. No matter how rich you are, you may not even eat more than the poor people. Your tummy can only contain one man's tummy. I have not seen anybody with a wider tummy, double tummy, because you're a rich man or because you're a rich woman. Now you will have a pound tummy that will consume more food. In fact, the richer you are, the more you reduce your food intake. Because most of the rich people, they eat ceremoniously. They eat based on the diet prescribed to them. So why can't they share this food with those who don't have? That is the issue. Those who have more than enough. Imagine in a world where there is sharing, will there be food wastage? Do you think we'll be talking about food wastage? In a world where there is sharing, Do you think, are we going to be talking about food wastage? No, not at all. Food wastage comes when you have more than enough to eat and you are not ready to share, and you cannot even consume them alone. Look at your store. Go to your store. You will see some food wasting, rotting. Why not give it out? Why keep them? There are people who will appreciate you. Leftover food, you can share with those who don't have. Leftover food, there are people you can give that leftover food. They will appreciate you. They will celebrate you. Okay? There was a story told in the Bible. The story of Lazarus and the rich man. The rich man, the wealthy man, and then while he was eating, instead of sharing the food with Lazarus, he preferred to throw it to dog. You see, and this is common among the Westerners. The Westerners will prefer to feed their dog than to feed their fellow human being who are hungry. They value animal more than they value their fellow human beings. And according to that, as if Jesus Christ knew that one day this problem will be there, where rich people will prefer to throw their leftover to dog than to throw it to their fellow human being. That's why he gave that parable. And this rich man ended up in hellfire because he refused to assist his fellow human being. That was the only crime he committed. We were not told he committed fornication. We were not told he stole. We were not told he broke any of the law. The only crime he committed was the inability to share his food with the hungry. Now he ended up in hellfire. So this is one of the areas we must take into consideration. Sharing with those who don't have. Giving. That is the major way of stopping food wastage. Because there are people who are out there. You cook and you have leftover. Look for those who are hungry. Okay? There are those who are in the street who are hungry. Go to the street, package it, give it to them, and you will be amazed if they will not say thank you. So, food wastage, and then food sharing, we have to bring them together to stop, to put an end to food wastage. Those in the rich country should be generous enough. I know some of them are doing it even amongst themselves. That's why we have things like, but we shouldn't do it once in a year. Do you know there's something called Black Friday? You see? It is working for them in the Western world. But the rich ones here, I don't know how they will key into that idea. As Christmas is approaching, there is a day set aside when they will look at all the products that are about to expire. They will reduce the price drastically so that they will get rid of them. Why can't we practice such things in Africa? And ironically, here in Nigeria, in Africa, that Easter, Christmas season, that is when things are very, very expensive. Because you ask them, they say it is season. Greed. People are so greedy. The time they would have reduced the price so that even the poor people can afford and celebrate with them. That is the time. Just the opposite of what you find in the Western world. Just the opposite. And most of the time, those things, they don't even sell them. They will prefer to waste them than to give it out at a giveaway price. Go to market, you see people throwing away their fruits, their food, but people will price them. They will not sell it. People will go to market. If I take you to market today, you will shed tears. We are in a mango season. This is mango season. You will see a lot of rotten mango. They will throw it in the waste bin. A lot of rotten orange, watermelon. You will see all these things being wasted. They will prefer to waste it than to give it out at a giveaway price. Does it make sense? No, it doesn't make sense. It's what greed causes. What greed can cause. So, why we blame the government and the rich for not providing machineries for recycling and for preservation of food? Individuals are also to be blamed for what we have today as food wastage. Stinginess, greed is responsible for food wastage. I keep telling people, especially those who are ready to listen, is it not better you have return? Okay? Make little profit and then get return than you buy goods, you put it there, you stock it there, and the food is wasted. Most people have gone out of business today because of that. Even these Muslims, the Hausas, they are better than we Christians. Because those of them, you price them, they are ready to let go. They are ready. They believe that any money that comes their way is from Allah, is from God. And they will not want to lose that money. But that culture is not in Christians. Christians are greedy. When I say Christians, I don't mean true Christians. You know what I mean now. Most of these people who claim that they are Christians, they are not even Christians. They are not Christians. If you don't believe in sharing, you are not a Christian. If you have food and food is wasting and people are hungry around you, you are not a true Christian. Because God has even told us, fasting, during fasting season, people waste food. In the name of fasting, they don't eat and they don't even share with others. Isaiah 58, the Lord said, the kind of fasting I want, that you share your food with the hungry. Isaiah 58. As you are eating, share with others. That is the kind of fasting God is requesting for us. Not that you will be fasting and others are starving. Nobody even benefit from your fast. So, I want to, like those of you who are overseas, if you are thinking of investment in Africa or back home here in Nigeria, think of preservation of food. Because food is something that everybody consumes all the time. Think of setting up a factory where there can be recycling food. You can even plantain, where they have plantain, you can have plantain, a factory that processes plantain, grinds it, like all these people that are having diabetes. These are the food that are recommended for them. You now process it, grind it, flour, turn it into flour, package it very well. Okay? So, or you can set up Jewish company. Go to places like Edo State where we are now. These are the ideas God has given me. And we are going to get there. Gradually, we are going to develop all these things. Okay? With time, we are going to set up a factory where fruits are produced. All this pawpaw, or mango, pineapple, we are going to set up factory where they can be processed. And then you have your natural fruits. And by so doing, you create employment and then you put an end to food wastage. That is my vision, and I know that one day it will come to light. So, I want to bless all the farmers and bless their product, that through this reflection, may God answer our prayer. Raise leaders who will help us to create the necessary enablement where all this food can be preserved, processed, recycled, and so on and so forth. I bless all the farmers and I bless all the food you consume. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Shalom and happy Stop Food Waste Day.